Morning and morning to the viewers.
It's a very important time for leadership in the country, and you could have gone to a private facility and without any public fanfare gotten your jab, but you chose to go to Munsieville. Tell us why.
Well, I think it's very important that as role models we remain meaningful to our community that we impact on. Because there's no point of staying outside the community which raised me. So that when we say things, we've got people that are able to copy and they try to imitate and make sure that they do the right thing. It was important also that we create that mindset, which give confidence on the efficacy of the vaccination. Because there's a lot of doubts. A lot of skepticism, gossip mongering about the vaccination. And I thought it's very important that I put myself in the forefront and make myself available to make sure that I must be seen to be participating in the most important exercise. Remember this, when we grow up, we used to vaccinate, which helped the doctors to keep the doctors away, to stabilize the communities, the society, the country. So it's not the first time the issue of vaccination came, calling upon us to work as a collective. So that's very important that I must participate to make sure that the voice that I have in terms of my position as the chairman of the league at Sino Orlando Pirates Football Club, I share with the people of the country that this is normal, can be done by everybody.
It's a statement after taking your vaccination. By the way, let's ask you, how did that go? What did it feel like? Or was it a non-moment, really?
Well, it was a great moment, for me, especially with the industry under siege. The football industry is under siege. Football is important for the sanity of the country. Football creates conversations. Supporters are desperate. Players are fearful. Especially players like, for instance, at this moment of Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates and Sundowns, who are traveling to various parts of the continent to do their duty on CAF competitions, coming back, being at the airport in terms of transiting. You can imagine what it does psychologically. It's very important that if the solution, is the vaccination, the sooner we get it right, the better. But it can only get right if we, people in the leadership, show direction to say this is doable, this must be done at all costs. So to support us, when there's a time for the government, to give a go-ahead, there's a reasonable chance of supporters who are vaccinated. But more important, also to give back to our elderlies, to make sure that, they must see that they're not being abandoned, we care about them. But for me, yesterday, it was an experience that was like a normal vaccination. I thought it because of the needle, it was a needless big for horses. I was scared. But after the jab, I didn't feel anything. That's why I was celebrating after the vaccination.
You're talking about the football players who are traveling the continent, but let's talk about those supporters who want to go back to the stadiums and attend matches. How can vaccination, what would you say to to this sector of football about how vaccination can help to speed up the process of going back to the stadiums?
You see, it was all to do with, gatherings. That's where it started. If we don't move, the virus won't move. Now, supporters, are passionate people. As much as we can give guidelines in terms of the social distancing, but when the emotions are high, there's bound to be some kind of radicalization of the mask, removal of the mask, singing. But if you're vaccinated, the chances are such that you minimize the extent of the damage if you are able to catch up, with the virus. Let me add also, Desiree, it does not mean because I'm vaccinated, then I must not observe the basics. Put on my mask, which I have it next to me here, wash my hands and sanitize and keep a social distance. But with supporters, you must understand it's a game of emotions, discussion, talking. So therefore it's very important to assist them to understand that the state of mind, to say, I don't think the government is ready now for everybody to be given the vaccination to fast track the test of how many supporters we allow to the stadium. There's a talk about antigens, that they might be the one that might be used temporarily as a temporary measure to allow the supporters to come in. But that is not a matter for football to decide. It's a matter of government to give us a go-ahead how to do the trial basis of phasing in the supporters step by step. Remember, we are coming from the lockdown, where we had, the issues of, quarantine of the players to finish our last games. It was painful for the supporters. It was painful for the players. But we had to do it. It was successful because we had to do the right things by providing the protocols that we observed to the T. That's why there was no incident, with those protocols that we observed. And it became a victory and a success of a project that, we undertook at the cost of 100 million rands, which we don't have. But for the supporters, understand their impatience, because without supporters, the game does not become exciting. And those teams that are used to supporters, they must be suffering right now. So let the supporters be patient. If the government give us the go-ahead in terms of the phasing in, we're the first one to implement that, proposal. But for now, let's wait for the issue of the vaccination first before we allow the supporters to the stadium.
When are you going in for your next jab?
Well, they say in 3 weeks' time. So I can wait for the 3 weeks' time. If it's for the 2 days, still I'm going to wait, because the minister gave an explanation to say there's a study that they are investigating that says should not necessarily be 3 weeks, it will be beyond 3 weeks, which I'm prepared to wait because the first step has been taken. I've managed, to be lucky from the first time on the 23rd of March to date. I've never been affected, so which assists, but that's not good enough. You make sure that you mitigate, the risk by vaccinating and doing the full program of the vaccination. But I must say, in your platform, Desiree, all the people in our families who understand how to do the registration, let's help the elders, because a lot of them yesterday I discovered that they were not able to vaccinate because they were not registered. But also after registering, you get a voucher, you're invited by SMS. Some of them, they think by registering only is enough to go to the queue, which is not enough. Assist the people around your community, around your area. Share information. Don't take it for granted. Whether it's churches, whether it's, taverns, wherever it is possible to share the information. Let's share it for the elders, because they mean well. They want to do the right thing. So without information, they find to be disadvantaged by going there and come back without being vaccinated. And it's frustrating, because they don't have enough money to buy for the taxis or for the transport to take them to the vaccination site. So let's share information as much as we can. Those that are in the know, let's do it. That's why I'm happy with this platform to talk about it, to share that information, which is important.
We thank you very much for leading by example, Dr. Khoza, and thank you so much for making the time to talk to us today.
Thank you for the time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Dr. Irvin Khoza is the chairperson of the PSL, and he took his vaccine yesterday. And I don't know, as you're watching, how do you feel about those nagging thoughts of hesitation that maybe not? You see your leaders going ahead and taking their jabs. How does that make you feel? Let us know at the agenda _SABC.